This week we head to East Africa and we start this incredible adventure in the Ngorongoro highlands, and we visit the Ngorongoro Crater itself, after which we head to the Serengeti, where we go in search of the Great Migration, wherever it might be found, and the big cats on top of the kopjes of central and eastern Serengeti. This journey starts in Mount Kilimanjaro, or the city of Kilimanjaro. We drive from there to the Ngorongoro highlands, where we spend some time photographing or looking for elephant and rhino especially, but lions too in the crater. We drive down the highlands and into the Serengeti National Park. Eastern and central Serengeti is where we spend most of our time. After that, we fly back to Kilimanjaro and our onward flights home. Hello again, guys. So this trip really excites me. We've done it quite a few times now, and there's a few variations to do it, but there's a few elements that are key to its success, and namely is the specific area where you stay in each park. For example, the Serengeti or the Ngorongoro, specific region of that area where you go on safari, and the lodge that you stay at, and then the lodge itself and the time of year is very, very important. Obviously, safaris to the Serengeti and the Ngorongoro region aren't any kind of secret. They have been some of the oldest safaris in Africa actually happened in this region back in the day, more than 100 years now. But the very best way to do it still can be described as a secret. In fact, some of us refer to this particular safari as one of Africa's best kept secrets. Best kept secrets. I stumbled onto this itinerary by accident, really. Long time ago, I did a safari here at this time of year to these places, knowing these areas already quite well. But I went in this specific time of year and realized that I'd stumbled onto a pot of gold in terms of safaris. And in terms of the marigold fields of the Ngorongoro Crater, quite literally in some aspects. The safari begins in Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. Beautiful, beautiful area. You're flying in and around Kilimanjaro mountain itself, Mount Kilimanjaro. Some guests will opt to climb it if they're feeling up for it, but many will just marvel in the sight of it, and we often see it when we land and take off from the area. East Africa is a little bit different from Southern Africa. The vehicles are closed at the top with a pop-up roof for many reasons. Most of all, you might have to travel along tarmac to get from one national park to the other. Quite often people would fly from there to Ngorongoro or Serengeti, but I'm a big fan of driving this route. The area is very, very, very interesting, and there's a lot of interesting parks you can add onto it. Sometimes our guests go through Serengeti National Park, and sometimes Lake Manyara, sometimes both of those before they get into Ngorongoro. Our linchpin to this safari is Ngorongoro Conservation Area and the Serengeti National Park. So our first stop is in Ngorongoro, and we get there via Lake Manyara, and a very beautiful climb up the Ngorongoro highlands, which is just extraordinary. It doesn't look like Africa. You're in a very mountainous region. It looks like gorillas are going to jump out of the forest, and probably a long time ago they would have. But these days I have seen leopard climbing that escarpment, and baboons. Baboons, you've got to be very careful at the entrance to Ngorongoro Conservation Area. The baboons there are Navy SEALs baboons. We've been robbed by them, and I mean robbed. You feel like you've been robbed before the cars even come to a stop. So bear that in mind. Close your windows long before you get to the gate. If your guide's good, he'll warn you about that before you get there, because if there's an opening and you've got food in that car, they will get it. And if it's not food and it's a wallet full of money, phones and passports and everything else that's important, they will have a crack at that too. So be very careful. After that, you keep climbing. Eventually you get to one of the most spectacular views. I wondered what the first Westerner explorer to Africa would have thought. David Livingstone, for example, when he first laid eyes on Victoria Falls, must have blown his mind. And equally as amazing, it must have blown their mind when they first looked down into Ngorongoro Crater and they saw this 2.5 million, well, they probably didn't know it back then, but 2.5 million year old caldera, means a volcano that's erupted and then caved in and fallen in on itself. And down there is one of the most extraordinary wilderness places in Africa. But before we get there, up on the ridge, beautiful, beautiful view. Sometimes it gets a bit tricky on the ridge. Go.
Andrew, what are you doing, man?
Frontiers, opening new frontiers.
Choose paid. Choose paid.
Lots of rainfall up there. The roads can be very wet, very muddy, very slippery. And more than once, I've been stuck behind vehicles that have gotten themselves bogged down. And we've had to cut our way through the forest and get around them and try and pull them out. Once even failing to do that, we had to drop down into the crater at night and drive through the crater, strictly not allowed during the night, and go up the other side, with permission, of course. But yeah, always exciting coming into the region. It's unlike any other site in Africa. We use a couple of different lodges in that area, mixed between quite a basic canvas tent situated in a very mystical, eerie forest, and quite luxurious canvas tent that's up on a very beautiful knoll midway up the crater rim that looks over the crater itself. You can see the crater lighting up in the morning. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm going there now, not literally, but in my head, and it's stunning. So have a look at this Ngorongoro Crater Edge Lodge by Wilderness Collection. So stunning. Look at this canvas. Big bed. I'm in the way. Let me show you this way. Whew. Outside here, let me show you quickly. This is the most important thing. What you get to look at when you step outside your tent. Ngorongoro Crater itself. Let me get that to darken slightly. Anyway, it's not gonna work. Ngorongoro Crater down there. You can see the whole crater, the lake. Let's see if I click on that. Aha, see? There's the crater. Beautiful. Let me get back on my face. Spotting scope, you wanna see some animals? Big brass bathtub. Gotta love that. Yoga mats, all that good stuff. Big shower, toilet, I won't go there. Another room there. Good coffee. Okay, you could whack that on first thing in the morning. So easy, so many people get it wrong. And a beautiful place to set off every day. Spend the whole day down in the crater. If you go at the right time of year, there's a few really good times of year to go. Sometimes it's quite dry and game viewing's really quite easy because there's not a lot of foliage on the ground. You see a lot of game down there. But the most exciting time of year is a few times when the flowers on the floor bloom and you get these seas of gold, marigold flowers. Sadly, they're alien species, but they do look pretty. And seas of purple panweed, and you can have black rhino, elephant walking through these fields. And it's a sight that's, you'd think it was AI, but it's real. It's absolutely magnificent. As a photographer, you are a kid in the candy shop down there at that time of year. You have a really magnificent time, even if you're not taking photos. It's a really cool learning experience because it's a geological marvel. You're surrounded by this crater rim. There's no other place like it. And down on the floor is such rich soils that it's just full of wildlife. Hippo, elephant, lion, plenty of hyena, flamingos in Lake Magadi. I mean, Lake Magadi is a very alkaline lake right in the middle of the crater floor, filled with bird life, hippos, and it's just extraordinary. The Ngorongoro Crater really is one of the world's most incredible destinations. 2.5 million years ago, this volcano erupted and eventually caved in on itself to create what is the largest known caldera on Earth. And on the floor, it is teeming with wildlife. At least 500 species of birds, different species of birds, and a plethora of wildlife. 20,000 mammals exist on the crater floor at least, including rare black rhino, zebra, serval cats, you name it. It is a bonanza of very interesting species. So you're on one of the most unique wildlife safaris there is, and you're surrounded by some of the most interesting geology there is in Africa. And that geological story continues once you leave in Ngorongoro. This is why I like driving. You crest over this rim and you start heading downward towards the Serengeti, and this geological story continues, and it's old and it's fascinating and it's beautiful and it's intertwined with our own history. You know, some of the oldest hominid remains are at the bottom of, as you drop down from the Ngorongoro Highlands onto the Serengeti, a place called Olduvai, the Leakeys research site, and it's a very interesting place to visit regarding human history. And as you pass that, you enter Serengeti proper, and it's a complete contrast. You've gone from mountains and forests to quite literally the endless plains. As far as you can see, it's flat and it's grass, and there's towers of giraffe roaming in the distance through the mirage. You think you're in a movie. Ostrich running off there, topies popping off into the distance, and it's just magical. And you carry on through the Serengeti, bumpy road, must say, bumpy road, pretty intense. And you start to see, after about a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours, you start to see the kopjes, the megalithic rock outcrops. I mean, there's many places in the Serengeti lodges that say they're around the kopjes, the famed kopjes, but there's very specific kopjes that are the kopjes, and they are covered with cats. Not all the time, obviously, I mean, that would be boring, but very high density of lion and cheetah and even leopard in some of them, and that's what we're there for. We're here to watch and observe the leopard and the lion and the cheetah especially. That's one of the highlights. And the great migration, if you go at the right time of year. The migration's in the area, which means the grass is nice and short, it's been chewed down. Easily some of the best predator-prey action I've ever had. I've seen a lot of lions hunting, I've seen a lot of lions fighting, territorial stuff, so it's really a high-octane, very exciting experience. So we are in the heart of the Serengeti, a place called Barafu. It's one of my favorite places to come. This is why, I mean, we're having a little lunch break there. As far as you can see in every direction is flat, endless plains. Couple of dotted, you can just see in the foreground here, the first of the koppies, the rocky outcrops that characterize this region. And all around us is literally hundreds of thousands of wildebeest. You might be able to hear them in the background. Hundreds of thousands of wildebeest, zebra, the Great Migration in full force. It's absolutely incredible. There's hyenas. There's probably some lions in this bush. That one, it's further away than it looks, don't worry. Because there's a big ring of wildebeest around us. They're not scared of us, but they're definitely a bit cautious of that bush over there. So something tells me there's a big cat in there. But this is what it's all about. It's absolutely, the scale of it is unbelievable. So our final area to search on this great Serengeti circuit that we love so much is the northern Serengeti. We've come down the Ngorongoro volcanic highlands, we've entered the great plains of the Serengeti, we've spent 3 or 4 nights over there. Big rocks, endless grasslands, that's what's quintessential about that place. Then we come north, we come here for a big treat, something a little bit more luxurious. This time we're at Korea Hills, spectacular place. And then there's the landscape, it's more rolling hills, rocky outcrops of woodlands, teeming with leopard, loads of lion, good cheetah down in the valley near the Kenyan border. And while we're here, we're going to talk a little bit about camera equipment. I am missing one item on this trip. I'm missing a wide angle. 2470 is usually a very good thing to have here for in case you get really close to the rocks and there's a big cat on it and you want big dramatic skies, or something gets really close to the vehicle and then Ngorongoro Crater and you can have a field of flowers and a small subject, close focus, wide angle type of thing going on there. So worth having a 2470 at reach. It will be your third option if you come here because it's rare that we use it, but it is nice to have. Of course, there's always the stars, and if the stars are out and it's nice, it's always fun to play. But primary lens is probably a zoom. We've got a 400mm here. You can have a 100, 500, 200, 600, whatever your favorite option is, or a prime. Be careful of primes. Context is king in this circuit. You really want something that can go wider. Otherwise you're going to miss out on big skies. You shoot a lion on a rock with a 400mm and you're too close, it just looks like a lion on a rock and you miss out on the big dramatic skies. So worth having definitely any kind of hunting situations or close-up portraits, but your number one lens to bring is a 7200. This is when you get the good stuff. Big dramatic skies or lots of context to the whole, and you want to transport people to the whole Serengeti vibe. So this lens I go nowhere without. It doesn't matter if I'm doing gorillas, doesn't matter if I'm doing Serengeti, doesn't matter if I'm doing Southern Africa. I won't go without a 7200. So this needs to be in everyone's pocket. I've got an R5C on it, getting a lot of video content, and an R5 on this one. Whatever your body is, doesn't really matter, whatever you're used to. I'm a big fan of big sensors and lots of detail. Unfortunately, the low light capabilities of these are not so good, but a great setup nonetheless. This area of the Serengeti is famous for big cats. Arguably, some of the highest densities of lion and cheetah exist in these two regions. Odyssey has traveled to this place dozens, maybe hundreds of times, and the cat viewing has just been extraordinary, especially for lion and cheetah. And if you're really lucky, the leopard sightings are really, really good if you check the woodlands and rivers around these rocky outcrop regions. Either way, you're almost guaranteed some of the best big cat viewing in Africa. One of the most intense sightings of my life was in the Serengeti, watching these enormous nomadic male lions intruding on a well-known male lion's territory in the central Serengeti. We watched them tracking this old male for a long time until this old male realized they were upon him and decided he was going to try and get away. But the nomads at this stage were too close, and they eventually closed the gap. Bit by bit, they ran in on him and ran him down. Of the old male noticed how much trouble they were in, and they took off. The nomads tracked and followed this poor guy for kilometers, and we followed alongside them. It was one of the most intense sightings I've ever witnessed in my life. They were relentless, and they slowly closed the gap on this old boy who was desperately trying to get away. We never actually saw the fight, but heard it from the distance, and it was terrifying. Camps that we stay at, again, it's all about location. A few of the most luxurious canvas tented camps that we absolutely adore to some really quaint and lovely basic canvas tinted camps. It doesn't really matter which one's which depending on your taste. What does matter is that you're in a very, very specific place. I'm not going to tell you where that place is because otherwise everyone will know, and that is an important secret, and I like it to stay that way because the Serengeti can get overcrowded. Masai Mara, Serengeti, terrible crowding at the wrong time of year, and I'd like this to stay exclusive and private because that's what really makes it special. As far as wildlife viewing, photography, observing cats in their natural environment, learning about rhino, elephant, and Serengeti, it really is the best way to do East Africa. So this is a real treat of East Africa, Northern Serengeti. We're at Korea Hills. A little bit of an elevated experience, not like a trail, but you know, it's nice to have fun every now and again. Look at that plunge pool view, like you can't believe. Lots of places to chillax. Look at that. I'm gonna spend some time there for sure. This is where the magic happens. Well, not in my case for sure. Look at that, beautiful big space, big sitting area, lounge. I'm already establishing myself, as you can see. Lots of beautiful decor. Voila, 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 voila. Look at that. Love a good entrance hall. Bathroom, check this out, this stuff excites me. That right there has to be checked out later. Big bathtub, outside shower you saw earlier, inside shower here. This is just stunning.